Hello everyone. It's been a hot minute, I know. So a few things happened. Uh I mean, my computer happened and now Pokemon Gaia might not be coming back. Which is sad, but there's not much I can do about it besides learn from this and learn to back up everything. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. Anyway, so instead of Gaia, we're going to do we're going to do a response to this video claiming that Ruby's going to change your favorite anime, which I'm guessing means it's going to be your favorite anime. So, without further ado, let's get into this. It's not going to be fun. I think actually, yeah, the first 30 seconds, 40, the first 40 seconds are just ads for Verve. So I'm just going to skip right here and then we're going to play from right here.
So you know where to find him. Now let's get into the anime. I don't know about you, but I've watched my fair share of beloved Japanese animation. Everything
As you do, yeah. That's all right. So far, he's so far he hasn't said anything wrong. But I've seen this video already, and he says a lot of things wrong. So we'll. Oh yeah, this video is by Treesicle, by the way. If you don't know who that is, I don't know who he is either. So we're both in the same boat. So let's go.
from super popular anime like Dragon Ball Super, Naruto, and Cowboy Bebop to older anime like Trigun.
Wait. Wait, you mean hang on, is he saying that Trigun isn't popular and Bebop isn't old? That's much less like Dragon Ball. Come on, dude, get. He's already said two statements wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that Bebop isn't popular, but is he saying that Bebop isn't old? Like that's he needs to like list his things more carefully so it doesn't end up being confusing like that.
And Bleach to magical girl anime like Magica Magica have all passed through my pupil holes and into my brainium. And for the most part,
Brainium. What's is that a real word? I'm gonna see if that's a real word. It's not. It's the name of a company, but okay. Anyway,
I've loved each and every one of them. I've gone down that rabbit hole of watching Fairy Tail for 5 seasons straight, and you suddenly realize that you've missed breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's
that I don't think Fairy Tail is that good. Much less, I don't think you can get through 5 seasons of Fairy Tail in one whole day. I don't think you can. That's just. I mean, I know this is nitpicky at the moment, but he's. But I just give it a minute. Give it a minute. This gets great.
something amazing about the genre that is just different than any other.
Okay, he called anime a genre, which it's not. It's not a genre. It's a medium. You know, like movie is its own medium, a TV show is its own medium, a book is a medium. Anime would be considered a medium. It's not a genre. Would you call cartoons a genre? I don't think you would because they have sci-fi and and fantasy and all that stuff. Like, no, that's just not. That's not. It's not a It's not a genre. It's. I know a lot of people get angry when it's called that, but like, it just isn't. That's just ignorance if you call it a genre. Anyway.
Type of media. Anime has become a mainstream form of entertainment, and with this rise in popularity, American companies have started to take notice and create their own anime to fill the need for the growing weeaboo population. And with that growth of American anime, there is one show that stands out as
Only one. Only one show. Avatar doesn't exist to this guy. The Last Airbender, not Blue People. That mediocre movie. Yeah, apparently, like he goes on to talk a lot about like how unique RWBY is throughout this video, but like it's not unique. It's the exact opposite of unique. Everything about RWBY is stolen from another show. There's nothing unique about it. It's Rooster Teeth isn't the first one to make an American anime either. He says that too, which makes me angry because Avatar's a way better show, but RWBY's getting uh, treated like it's the first American anime.
It's completely different from the rest in both style and production.
Oh, that's too good. That's too good. Like, I can't say much about production, but style is certainly not unique about. Let's hear him say that again.
One show that stands out as completely different from the rest in both style and production.
I can't believe he said that. He's seen Fairy Tail, right? He's seen Fairy Tail and Dragon Ball and Cowboy Bebop and Trigun and Madoka Magica and he's seen all those shows, right? Like style. Yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Sure. Why not? Cuz the overly drawn out action sequences that have no effect on the overall narrative is something that no other anime has ever done before. No other anime drags out their fight scenes. No other anime has a story about a bunch of kids going to school to learn how to fight monsters. No other anime's done that. RWBY's the first one to try that. It's he clearly hasn't seen Soul Eater or uh, hell, he hasn't even seen Harry Potter. Like that's not an anime, I know, but it's still like. Is he talking about the animation style? Because I mean, they look pretty anime with their giant eyeballs and their very and their one line mouths. That's pretty anime, as well as their stupid costumes. Like it's if he's talking about the 3D animation, I guess sure maybe, but I'm sure like if you looked hard enough, you could probably find a 3D animated anime that isn't RWBY that was used by motion capture or whatnot. Like yeah. Anyway.
That show is RWBY. Whoa!
Uh-huh, sure, yeah. Yeah, sure, it's RWBY. Uh-huh. It's definitely RWBY. RWBY's unique to any other anime. It's completely different. Anyway.
Hold up there, commenter. I know there's so many of you who are about to comment saying that RWBY isn't an anime.
I'm not going to say RWBY isn't anime.
I'm of the opinion that anime has
I'm not gonna say that RWBY isn't anime. It definitely is an anime because people say, "Oh yeah, it's well, anime is just animation made in Japan." That's not true because we've got Korean anime and Chinese anime. Like they can come from anywhere. It's like a specific style of like it's a specific like art style, I would guess. And Ruby's character models look very much like they belong in an anime, which is funny because he says he's already contradicted himself because he's saying anime is a certain style, but he's saying that Ruby has a different style from anime, which would say, which would suggest that Ruby isn't an anime, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? I mean, granted, I did say that it does not have its own style. Maybe in animation, yes, but in terms of story and the way the characters look and the setting, it is not. It's not tech. It's not a different style from what we've already seen in other shows. So it's yeah.
become more of a style than specifically referring to Japanese animation.
Yep, I agree with that. I agree with that. It's it's definitely its own medium. It's its own medium, and I guess I don't know if they would fall under cartoons or not because cartoons are also well, cartoon is also a different style from anime. Because while anime is kind of a bit more grounded in reality, like cartoons are a little bit like more I want to say flimsy, but that's not exactly. They have a different logic than anime. Uh, so yeah, let's continue.
Plus, its creator, Monty Ohm, categorized RWBY as an anime, and so I do too. To quote
I mean, it's not really a good enough reason to qualify it as an anime, even though the creator says it, because the creator could very well be an idiot. And I'm not calling Monty Ohm an idiot. He's a genius in terms of choreography, fight choreography. He's a genius in terms of fight choreography. Um, I'm not calling him an idiot, but like to base off of what a show is based on what the creator says it is not really. It's because sometimes because Ryan Johnson. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name, but I'm going. Whatever. It's too late. Um, but Ryan Johnson claims that he made a good movie with The Last Jedi, and it was actually the worst Star Wars movie ever. Uh, but so like you can't exactly take the creator of a work's word and uh, make that part of your logic. Like, excuse me. I'm not. I feel like I have to say this, but I'm not trying to disrespect Monty in any way. But what am I saying? Yeah, just because Monty said a thing does not mean it's true. That is all I'm saying. And while he did say a thing that is true, he did say, uh, Ruby is an anime. That is that is 100% true based on the style and the way it looks and the way that the story goes. It is definitely an anime. But just because he said it was an anime does not mean that it is. If you catch my drift, I don't know if I don't know if I like what I'm saying makes sense or not. I hope it does. Anyway, let's keep going.
Monty. Some believe, just like Scotch needs to be made in
Monte. Monte. God, like when was this made? 2017. So this is after I want to say volume 4, May 30th. Uh I don't remember. Anyway, I agree with this quote. Um you could have showed him a bit more respect by spelling his name right. Because that's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. All you had to do was Google his name. That's all you had to do to get that right. But whatever.
Scotland, an American company can't make anime. I think that's a narrow way of seeing it. Anime is an art form.
That is true. It is. It is. It's a very narrow way to see anime. I would agree. Yeah. I've already said I agree with this entire quote, but I'm trying to pause as much as possible so that I don't get a copyright strike or a claim or whatever. Because this channel, he's got 900K subscribers. So like, yeah. And by the way, he still hasn't told us that RWBY will change my favorite anime yet. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. But which like defeats the entire purpose of the video. But, or maybe he does. I don't remember. It's been like a day since I saw this video.
Say that only one country can make this art is wrong. I completely agree with him. In
Yep, me
case
too.
you don't know, RWBY is an American-made anime web series that is created by Rooster Teeth, an internet entertainment company.
It's created by Monty Yome. It's licensed by Rooster Teeth and produced by Rooster Teeth. It is not created by Rooster Teeth. Monty Yome created it.
They're probably most well known for the machinima series Red vs. Blue, but in the last few years they began producing their first original IP, RWBY.
I think that's true. I don't think they made any other thing before RWBY that wasn't RVB, because RVB was kind of based on the game of Halos. I've never played Halos, by the way.
RWBY is so different from the Japanese.
It's so different. Oh yeah, it's so different with these ridiculous costumes and these ridiculous hairstyles and you know the action and their giant eyeballs. It's so different from anime. So I mean Japanese anime. It's so much different.
Anime I've come to know and love, yet it also shares many similarities.
All right, don't don't say, "Oh, it's so different," but it's also pretty similar. Don't say that it's so different. Oh yeah, you could say, yeah, it's different because it's a combination of a bunch of things that every other anime has done. Sure, because this show is basically a combination of like Soul Eater and Soul Eater. It's basically a ripoff of Soul Eater. Anyway, like you, how are you that bad of a writer to be able to contradict yourself within 5 seconds? Oh, did I just?
From the Japanese anime I've come to know and love, yet it also shares many similarities.
Okay, it's not quite 5 seconds, but like. Oh, it's so different, but it's also exactly the same. Great, thanks. Thanks for. Of course, he didn't say exactly the same. He said it has many similarities, which saying so different would mean it's largely different, but also saying many similarities means it's also a huge chunk of it is similar. But like 75% and 75% makes more than 100%. It I know I'm pulling those numbers out of my bumhole, but what he's saying isn't making sense, and it's not correct. Anyway, it's gonna change your favorite anime. Just RWBY is gonna become your favorite anime. It just will. Unless, you have actual taste and you know how much of a garbage fire it is. But.
And now RWBY is the first anime to be exported from America to Japan.
Allow me to correct you, sir. Because Avatar The Last Airbender has a Japanese dub. The first American anime to be exported to Japan. Sure, Jan. Sure. Whatever you say, Treesicle. Whatever you say. My goodness. This guy doesn't think Avatar exists. Has he not seen it? Like, okay, I'm gonna say this. I didn't watch it during my childhood, but I knew enough to know that it was really good and it was like an American anime. And I have seen it now. I've seen it now, so you don't need to tell me to go watch it because I've seen it. And it's really good. Way better than RWBY. In fact, instead of watching a show like that's a dumpster fire like RWBY, then go watch Avatar. And if you really want to watch some of Monty Ohm's cool stuff, watch the red and white trailer. If you want to watch Monty Ohm's cool stuff, that happens to be RWBY. What or like watch like clips of the fight scenes. You don't need to watch the show, or I should say the fight scenes from volumes 1 and 2 because those were the ones before he died. Um, but yeah, it's just because the writing is all Miles and Carey, and they don't know how to write, and yeah. Mhm. Anyway, yeah, but still, saying that Ruby's the first American anime to be exported to Japan is just flat out wrong, and you haven't. It's just wrong. Like I I would say do your research, but I didn't really research it except with the exception of looking up a Japanese dub of Avatar, and I found one, and that was all the proof that I needed because Avatar is older than RWBY because RWBY came out in like 2013, and Avatar has been around since the first decade of the 21st century. I don't know when it was. Anyway, yeah, that's a ridiculous statement. He's wrong. Let's continue.
A major accomplishment for American anime. What
I would say that isn't a major accomplishment, except that it isn't the first one.
is it about RWBY that makes it so loved not just in its country of origin, but also where the art of anime was first created? Is
Because of Monty Ohm and his name. Because Monty is a well known dude who's made really cool stuff. And Rooster Teeth is also pretty well known because of Red versus Blue. And that's why they were like, "Oh, they're making a new show called RWBY, and it was made by this cool dude named Monty Ohm. Let's watch it." And that's why RWBY has such a huge following, is because it's it's got such a huge following because of two names, Rooster Teeth and Monty Ohm. And I'm not gonna say that it doesn't deserve its popularity, but I'm saying that its popularity kind of makes it worse. Um, but yeah, I hope he gets into that reason why. I hope that's his reason. If it isn't, if it's something else, I'm gonna be surprised. But I'm pretty sure that's why RWBY got so popular. It's because it was so big in America. Then Japan said, "Hey, let me have some of that," and then they got some of that. Anyway,
Is it the similarities it shares with Japanese anime, or is it the refreshing divergence RWBY takes from the anime formula? To figure that
what divergences are you talking about? He's what divergences? It progresses like any other anime would, except that's kind of wrong because RWBY. See, most of the stuff that we know in I want to say at the very least volume 4, we should have known in either volumes 1 or 2. Heck no, even volume 5 we should have known in volume the stuff we know in volume 5 should have been learned in volume 2, and everything about volume 4 backwards should be in volume 1. We should have learned all of this stuff, but instead we get 3 volumes of nothing happening. Most anime will have something happen within their first 3 seasons, but nothing happened in the first 3 volumes. I mean, I can't really say that anything happened in volume 1 because, yeah, they stopped Torchwick from getting dust, but in the beginning of volume 2, he got all the dust anyway, so there was no point to volume 1. Then, characters actually, like, decide to do stuff and things move forward in the terms of plot. Things do happen in volume 2, but then volume 2 gets retconned in volume 3 that says, oh, that big fight at the end of volume 2 didn't happen. How they presented it as a success, it was actually a failure. So we're talking about a completely different scene that has nothing to do with what that was. It's a failure. It's not a success. It's a failure now. And well, and of course, nothing happened in volume 3 until the last quarter when everything went to shit. Nothing happened in the first 3 volumes. Anyway, yeah. What divergences are you talking about besides not doing anything?
that out, let's go over just what RWBY copies from its Japanese ancestors and what it rebels against.
Okay. What if he doesn't say everything for what it copies? Then I'm gonna be surprised because I'm interested to see what he says. I don't remember what he says here. I don't remember if it was smart or stupid. I think it was stupid though. Based on the fact that I saw this and I was like, I really need to do this video. So yeah, let's see what he has to say.
Let's start with what's the samesies. RWBY is chock full of every anime trope you could ever want. I mean, just
But yet it's so different from most anime. It's got all the tropes, but it's so different. Could you be any more contradictive? And it's still saying this will change your favorite anime. Is it only going to? Is he implying that it's only going to change it based on the fact that it's different? Because if that's the case, then it ain't gonna hold us for very long. Because either the garbage animation, or the sloppy writing, or the trash fight scenes after Volume 2, after that, like, who's gonna. A lot of people dropped RWBY after Volume 6. And Volume 6, I want to say, is the best volume so far. Like, it's the one that came the closest to mediocre. And it. And, like, people dropped it because at that point everyone was just fed up. Because that's when they realized it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. Because the first half was really good, and the second half fell apart. And that second half, I think, is what did it in for all those RWBY tubers that dropped it.
Look at all these tropes that RWBY shares with one of my other favorite animes, Fairy Tail. Both have an amazing way above average fighter, Pyrrha and Urza. Both have
Fairy Tail. It's the wrong tail. Dang it. Okay, so why are you comparing? Okay, why are you comparing Urza and Pyrrha? What is the similarities between them besides their hair? They're not at all similar. Because here's the difference between Urza and Pyrrha is that Pyrrha didn't work to get to where she is. Urza worked her ass off to get to how powerful she is. Pyrrha, her powers were given to her on a silver platter. And because she has the power to manipulate metal, she wins every fight. Urza, who can only summon swords and armor, she like gathers that over time and she learns to fight with her swords and with her armor and all that. Like she learns how to use magic. I can't believe I'm praising a dumpster fire like Fairy Tail, but like Fairy Tail is way better than RWBY by 7,000 miles, and it's still below mediocre. Actually, I don't know if I would call it mediocre because I don't know if I would call it mediocre or not. I'm gonna say it's below mediocre. So like it's there's a huge difference between Pyrrha and Urza. I don't know why he's comparing these two. Their personalities are nothing alike because Urza's very is has got this tough exterior. She acts cold to a lot of people, but she's actually got a heart of gold and she's like super protective of everyone. Pyrrha is just, oh, I don't like winning, and I have a crush on Jean because he doesn't give two craps about me. Like, I don't, I don't get it. I don't. Okay, fine. What is the similarities between Pyrrha and Urza?
have ancestral weapons. Natsu has his Dragon Slayer magic he learned from Igneal. Jean has his sword and shield
Wait, did he not compare them at all?
animes, Fairy Tail. Both have an amazing way above average fighter, Pyrrha and Urza. Both have ancestral weapons. Natsu has his
What? Ancestral weapons? You mean like weapons passed down from their ancestors or just really old weapons? Because let me tell you this right now, neither is true. You'd be more accurate if you were talking about Jean. If you compared Jean to Urza, that would make more sense to me. But you compare the two, it doesn't even make sense to compare it with Urza because all of her weapons are her own. Who what ancestors did she have? She had we only get to see one parent at the very end and there's barely anything to like confirm that for us besides they both have red hair and their last names are Scarlet for some reason. let me look up the word ancestral to see if he's right or not. Ancestral, of belonging to, inherited from, or donated, or denoting an ancestor or ancestors. So no, that doesn't fit either of them. Let me let me listen to that again and see if he's.
Amazing way above average fighter. Pyrrha and Urza both have ancestral weapons. Natsu
Good lord, did you watch either of these shows? Jean fits that description better, but no one else in Fairy Tale does. Now, I realize that I'm saying that, you know, there's differences, but like, uh, the, the only thing that I can say is different about RWBY is that there's no characters in RWBY. So, like, there's no characters in RWBY. Like, he's about to compare Natsu and Jean, and, like, those two couldn't be further apart. Natsu has worked his tail to the bone to be the best that he can. Heck, he's the strongest. Like, they don't say it flat out, but based on everything that happens in the show, he's the strongest mage in the entire guild. Jean? He cheated his way into the school. Natsu didn't cheat his way into Fairy Tale. He went up there and he said, "Let me join." And they said, "Okay." Jean, he forged transcripts to get into Beacon. He didn't earn his way into the academy. He just he wanted to live up to his ancestors, and so he snuck into school, to a school that was way too dangerous for himself. It was way too dangerous for himself, and since they put him as the leader, that's endangering his entire team. Like, this has more become a RWBY rant than I was expecting, instead of a rant against him. But like, just saying, oh, let's look at how they're similar. These two, Natsu and Jean, are nowhere near similar. Because Natsu has a strong will to fight. He loves to fight. Jean can't hold himself in a fight. He hasn't shown any characteristics that he loves to fight. He hasn't shown any of that. Like, what?
has his Dragon Slayer magic he learned from Igneal. Jean has his sword and shield that belonged to his great-grandfather.
Wow. So this is, why didn't you say they have ancestral weapons about Jean and Natsu? That makes a little bit more sense, except that, the difference being that Igneal taught Natsu magic, and Jean stole a sword and shield from his parents. Like, yeah, why? Why are you making these comparisons if they don't work? These don't work. What in... Oh! This dude isn't making any sense. He's pulling points out of his butthole.
Both have characters that are animals. Catchphrase.
Great. They have characters with cat ears. Did you say characters that are animals? Hang on a minute.
Jean has his sword and shield that belonged to his great-grandfather. Both have characters that are animals.
Characters that are animals. Wow. Wow. Racism. Racism. Wow. You. Oh, well, okay. So the big deal with Faunus in Ruby, good lord, now I'm defending Ruby. But the big deal with Faunus and Ruby is that they're treated like animals. And, the big deal about the first two volumes, at the very least, were about trying to, you know, about the White Fang trying to, like, stop the oppression of being treated like animals. Like, so then this guy who's praising Ruby for being so different but so similar, and I know this doesn't help or hurt his arguments, but he's saying, but if he likes this show so much, why is he acting like one of the villains from the show? Or, or I guess I should also say, why is he acting like the main characters from the show? Because they're all racist too, at least in the first volume. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, uh huh, yeah. Anyway, and okay, catchphrases, huh? Catchphrases. All right, I'm not aware of any catchphrases in Ruby, but just because characters have catchphrases, that isn't a pro or a con, or much less like a similarity that makes it. It's not something that makes it similar to anime, because characters in cartoons have catchphrases, and sometimes they have one in live action films. Like, so just saying that, oh yeah, they have catchphrases, like, that's not a good comparison between an American anime and a Japanese anime. It's just, this isn't. Ah!
Phrases for characters.
I'm combat ready.
Oh, so a minor character who doesn't last 3 volumes, who's barely even a character at all, is your catchphrase character. Oh, okay. I see. Good lord, Blake. Could you look any less bored? Could you look any less bored? Oh my god, why are you. Oh my goodness. Blake is my favorite character. I'm just kidding, she's my least favorite, but I love laughing at her stupidity and. Yeah. Anyway.
Specialized insignia. Limited magical.
Oh, wow, because they have symbols! Has anyone seen Divergent? This is the first thing that I thought of, was Divergent. Hunger Games, too. Like, that's a thing in books and movies that's not unique to anime. Sure, it's similar to the shows, but, like, the insignia is, like, unique to the characters in RWBY, while as the insignia is in relation to a guild. And again, the insignia means nothing in RWBY, but it means a lot to Fairy Tail, because Fairy Tail is like this huge family, and they all support each other, and like, the Fairy Tales is like a sign of hope for them, and all that greatness. Like, it's you're making terrible comparisons. You're making terrible comparisons. They're not the same. They just aren't.
Power that depletes throughout fights. I could.
A power that depletes through fights. Okay, first of all, it does not deplete in Fairy Tail, because no matter what, no matter how low Natsu says how his magic power is, or magic energy, or whatever it's called, no matter how low Natsu says his magic is, he's still going to pull off some giant fireball out of his ass. No matter how low he says his magic is. Okay? And Fairy Tail, or Fairy Tail, and RWBY, okay, they don't have a meter at all. Oh, you say that, oh yeah, they have one in the tournament, and they have a visual effect and a sound effect whenever someone's aura breaks, but like the aura break doesn't matter because throughout the whole fight, no one's fighting like their skin is invisible because they're mostly fighting to protect, like, yeah, okay, protect their shield, but they're not acting like if I get hit, it's not that big of a deal if I keep avoid, like, especially in the actual real fights like Crow versus Tyrion, not a single punch or attack landed on each other while they were on screen and before their aura broke. Crow's aura and Tyrion's aura broke for no reason. They lasted only a few hits. And some of the hits were probably off screen based on when they fell in the shed, and then once they come out, their aura's broken for seemingly no reason. But, like, they're dodging each other for the entire fight. So, it doesn't matter whether or not their aura is broken. If they're not going to change up their fighting style in any way. And heck, it wasn't even shown to deplete until Volume 3, so I don't know why he's showing Volume 1 footage. It's not, no. No. I'm gonna disagree with you. On both sides. You should say that they're similar because their magic system doesn't work like it should, like any magic system should. It doesn't have defined rules. It doesn't have any rules. Go on and tell me about like all the exposition they have in the show and all the World of Remnants, and I will tell you each contradiction that there is to each of those rules, because I know there's a contradiction in every single thing about aura, and I will fight you to say that there isn't. I'm not wording very well, but my point is, there's no way you can prove to me that RWBY has a magic system that has clearly defined rules. Because, yeah. We still don't know the difference between magic and dust and semblances, by the way. Because two of those are not magic, even though they act like magic. But magic is a real thing, but it's, like, not that much different from the stuff that they usually do. So, yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Go on and on, but needless to say, anime fans who...
Oh, you could go on and on, huh? So could I, brother. So could I. Okay, let's see what he says.
I could go on and on, but needless to say, anime fans who want to give RWBY a try will find many of the same tropes that you'd find by watching too much Fairy Tail or Sword Art Online or any...
Yeah, because they're both trash. Because they're both trash. That's why you'll find similarities between them. Good lord, I can't believe... Does he think Sword Art Online is a good show? I mean, he thinks Fairy Tail and RWBY are, so, like... Yeah. But, like, SAO and Fairy Tail are not good. They're not... Yeah, no.
number of other animes. I mean, doesn't Ruby and her scythe remind you just a little bit of Mako from Soul Eater? Sure, Mako...
I mean... Yeah, her design was stolen from Mako. But that's not for me to say. 'Cause, I'm just a hater. I'm just a hater.
His scythe doesn't turn into a sniper rifle, but you get the idea. Ruby has
Yeah, it turns into a person, which is way cooler than a sniper rifle scythe because I can see advantages of a human that can transform into a scythe. I cannot see the advantage of having a scythe also be a sniper rifle. The only character that would work for would be Ruby, but the sniper rifle does not work for Ruby. Maybe if she only made it just a super powerful gun that could move her across, yeah, sure. But her speed semblance should be able to make her move anyway. And I'm just now realizing this, but her speed semblance makes her the gun portion of her scythe completely worthless. There's no point to her gun. Oh my god. There's no point to the gun. Why is it a gun? She she rarely shoots people, and the few times she does, it doesn't do anything.
all the main qualities that make anime what it is. It makes
Hang on. I need to watch that clip again.
you get the idea. RWBY has all the main qualities that make anime what it is.
I mean, I could agree with that, yeah. See, the only thing he's arguing so far is that RWBY is an anime. That's the only thing he's arguing. It's not saying RWBY will change your favorite anime. Why doesn't it just say RWBY is an anime? That would be a much better title.
It makes you laugh and it hits you with the feels. All these similar
I mean, if you somehow care about the characters and the plot and or lack thereof, then sure, yeah, it can hit you in the feels. But if you have any idea of how writing works, no. I didn't feel a thing when Pyrrha died because her character was not likable at all. And mostly for me, it was just because her acting was annoying. But that's just me. Some people think she was a great actor, but the way her voice was shaky all the time, I just could not get behind that.
properties make RWBY accessible to fans of OG anime, and I think that can only be a good thing. Rarely have
I I mean, just watch Avatar. It's much better. It's much better. Its rules are very clear, except for a few, but like it still works within the rules that they had already established. But like it's just watch just watch Ruby. I mean not Ruby, Avatar. Avatar is so much better.
have American anime been able to gain a strong following like their
Avatar. Avatar has a strong following. That's ridiculous.
Japanese brethren. And I think the main reason RWBY has been successful is because it shares so many similarities to other beloved Japanese animes while
It's also so popular because it's a Rooster Teeth show, and it was created by Monty Ohm. That also has something to do with it. But okay, fine.
bringing something completely unique to the table. What I'm talking
All right, you can't talk about unique when you're talking about RWBY because they say semblances are all unique, except they're not. Like, I mean, have you seen Adam's semblance? It's exactly the same as Ruby's. I mean, not Ruby's, Yang's. But like, they're apparently unique. Completely unique, as according to the World of Remnants. Anyway,
Talking about here isn't the lack of fan service, despite limited,
what? Hang on a minute. What?
completely unique to the table. What I'm talking about here isn't the lack of fan service.
There is plenty of fan service in RWBY. There is there is one scene in particular. There's a couple scenes in particular that I can think about. Is when Jean is hanging from a tree and Pierre's on the ground, and you're looking from Jean's perspective, and you can pretty much see down her shirt. I would consider Pierre's whole costume is fan service. I don't care what you say, it's fan service. If she's supposed to be like a gladiator, she should dress more like she's protecting her body. Because she got stabbed, she got killed because of her fan service. Her she got killed because of her crappy uh, costume suit thing.
Despite limited panty shots compared to the many upskirts and jiggle
There's a lot of upskirt shots and jiggle physics going on in RWBY. Hang on, let me.
about here isn't the lack of fan service. Despite limited panty shots compared to the many upskirts and jiggle physics found in other anime, RWBY is made.
They've got a lot found. They've got a lot of that in the show. I don't know what you're talking about. The next thing you show is Emerald, whose design is basically built around fan service. Look at how little clothes she's wearing. Look at what Cinder's wearing. She's wearing a. Look at how much leg that is. You don't think that's fan service?
Made completely differently than your run-of-the-mill Japanese animation.
You still haven't brought up any points to that. I would like to see your points that you're making.
Animation software used to make series like Full Metal.
Okay, yeah, animation software. That's where the similarities stop. Like the way that it's made, yeah, okay. That's where the similarities end though. Because it's pretty much the same as most anime.
Little Alchemist or Attack on Titan are still very much a frame-by-frame project. This is
except for the CG that they like to throw in occasionally, but yeah, sure, they're frame by frame. I mean, except for like the CG and the special effects that they add, and as well as their camera angles, and sometimes they just have characters not animating at all but still moving. So yeah.
extremely time-consuming and creates the need for large animation teams to work on those series. RWBY on
Yeah, but RWBY has a large animation team, and they can still barely make their animation look any good. So yeah, no, no, it's anime is Japanese anime is most of it is superior in every way to RWBY. I'm sorry, it just is.
on the other hand, uses software that is much closer to how video game cinematics are created. The animators
Okay, yeah. Your point being,
create 3D models of the characters, weapons, environment, and anything else they need, and then record their movements through the virtual equivalent of a camera. This decision to choose this style of animation isn't really surprising, considering Rooster Teeth's experience with machinima from their Red.
but it also isn't surprising considering the fact that you're working with Monty Ohm, who specializes in 3D animation fights. Like, all you did was use in-game footage. You didn't download a whole new software just to make Red versus Blue. You didn't do that until when Monty came around and started doing the fight scenes in Red versus Blue. Like, that's... Yeah, No. Uh-uh. Those two things do not correlate with each other. Besides the fact that require, besides the fact that machinimas require minimal effort, while an actual animation requires a lot of time to get good, to get right. Like you could say, oh yeah, it takes us about as much time to finish a season of RWBY than like it takes Rooster Teeth more time than most animes to get their shows finished. Because when they release the first episode of a volume, they're not done with the last episode. They're still working on the last few episodes when the first episode gets released. Most anime have everything done before they start airing episodes. And like they start working on the next season while the current one is going on. I think. I'm not an expert, don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure they have everything finished before episode 1 airs. Rooster Teeth isn't like that. They're not done when episode 1 airs. And I don't know why they have a set schedule if they claim to be a small company, and especially if they're a company that's on the internet when you can release things whenever you want. It doesn't have to be a specific schedule.
Red vs. Blue series. Creating animation this way saves Rooster Teeth from needing to draw out every second 30 times, which keeps
Okay, yeah, sure, but like still, it's it's not it's not as efficient as having 500 animators working on a bunch of different scenes and them actually working together to have some continuity going on. Because if you've seen the Ruby is Broken series, which is really good, highly recommend it. I don't like the Floof artist all that much, but his Ruby is Broken series is actually pretty good. Because there's so much wrong with the fight scenes. And it's mostly because the animators don't communicate with each other on what's going on. While yes, it may take longer for 2D anime to get made, if that's the case, but the way that the Japanese animators make their shows is way more efficient, and uh, it's a lot they get a lot more uh, uh, it's higher quality, I guess I should say. It's higher quality than what RWBY has.
their animation team small, costs down, and allows them.
Oh yeah, sure, it's small. They've only got 300 members of their company. Yeah, no, they're not a small company, dude. They're not. I'm sick to death of people saying that Rooster Teeth is a small company. They used to be. They're not anymore. By the time RVB 10 was out, they were no longer a small company. They I'm sorry, that's just not the case. I'm sick to death of people defending them with that excuse because it's wrong. They've got too many staff members and employees to even be considered a small company.
To produce shows like RWBY that would have required the resources of a much larger studio. Of course, this creates a difference in animation style. RWBY has
because they're using different softwares. Continue.
a toon-shaded 3D look to it compared to the more
Toon shaded? What? There's barely any shading in that scene you just showed me. It's all flat and simple. There's no shading going on whatsoever. I don't know what you're talking about. What did he say? Toonly shaded?
down and allows them to produce shows like RWBY that would have required the resources of a much larger studio. Of course, this creates a difference in animation style. RWBY has a toon-shaded 3D look to it compared to the more
Toon shaded. Toon shaded. What does that mean? I'm gonna look that up. Toon shaded. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's yeah okay, but like, no, no. And if you're gonna compare it to Fairy Tale, I see shade. I see shade. There's no shadows whatsoever in that scene you just showed me. There's no shadows at all. There's nothing. There's light everywhere.
creates a difference in animation style.
Yeah, they get shadows and stuff in volume 2. But using volume 1 footage while you're saying that is not the best idea you've ever had. I mean, you've had a lot of bad ideas in this video, but like this one in particular is not. Nuh-uh. Nope. Nuh-uh.
RWBY has a toon-shaded 3D look to it compared to the more generic anime style that we know. It's a big difference, and one that I
I mean, at least you use the word generic on the right scene because Fairy Tail is like the definition of a generic anime.
wasn't personally fond of when I first saw it, but I'm totally fine with it now. Big difference, and shaded
Hang on, what did you
3D
say?
look to it compared to the more generic anime style that we know. It's a big difference, and one that I wasn't personally fond of when I first saw it, but I'm totally fine with it now.
Okay, yeah. Opinions change. They do. Oh my god, opinions change. RWBY will change your favorite anime. Just because you grow to like something does not make it your favorite. And I'm not saying that's the point he's making. I'm just saying that in general. Because this is the first time he said something like something has changed about the way he perceives RWBY.
Because it gives the animators the ability to make insanely detailed fight scenes and character
Oh, yeah, because there's no detail in any other anime that has fight scenes, like in Full Metal Alchemist or One Punch Man or anything like that. No detail in those animes. It's all flat and simple.
movement through motion capture. This is one of the big limitations on Japanese anime as a whole. The fight scenes, while cool and tension building, for the most part are pretty simple. Just take a look at this
It's simple. Okay, you're gonna need to clarify yourself on that. I hope you do.
clip from Dragon Ball Super. On the surface, this animation looks complex and cool. Vegeta is moving around,
Yeah, he's dodging a bunch of lasers and shooting them with precision. But you could show like a much better fight than this, like say the fight between Goku and Hit, which used a lot of strategy and a lot of cool moments, and it wasn't exactly simple. I would say it was actually pretty complex because it was messing with time manipulation and all that crap, and Goku had to figure out a way around that.
flipping, shooting balls of energy. But compare it to this. There's just so
Yeah, okay, yeah. Alright, okay, hang on.
this animation looks complex and cool. Vegeta is moving around, flipping, shooting balls of energy. But compare it to this. There's just so much detail that Rooster Teeth
Yeah, not being able to see what's going on. Okay, I don't remember what I was saying, sorry, I got interrupted for the third time. Because someone doesn't know how to take orders. So let's.
for the most part are pretty simple. Just take a look at this clip from Dragon Ball Super. On the surface, this animation looks complex and cool. Vegeta is moving around, flipping, shooting balls of energy. But compare it to this. There's just so much detail that
So much detail. Look at all those NPCs that one of them isn't even looking at the fight. And this dude's doing like half a T pose. And I realize that's in the background, but like, oh, so much detail. His cape's clipping through his back. They're slashing at each other. That's all they're doing. They're slashing at each other. Meanwhile, Vegeta's dodging bullets, shooting behind him, using his ability to sense energy to beat them up. Like compared to this, angrily slashing at each other. One of them's calm about it, which is Crow. But like Winter's like angrily slashing at him with no real strategy to it. But like,
Rooster Teeth can capture by using a different style of animation. If you
yeah. But like, here's the thing about this is that if you look real closely at this fight, if you look real closely, if you look real closely, Winter is barely moving. And look at how she just jumps from like one position to another. And they just stand there for a good few frames. But like hardly anything is really going on. It's not it's I fail to see how this is more complex than that Vegeta fight you showed me. Whoops, that was an accident. Let me do that. Like I fail to see how this is more complex than they're just slashing at it. Like if you're gonna say, oh yeah, he's just dodging bullets and shooting at them, these two are just slashing at each other. Like they're bare. One of them's using actual strategy against one another. One of them is actually using strategy to beat his opponent, and not only that, but he's also very clearly. But he's also, if you've seen the show, he's training himself. So he's not really going to be like, going all out like these two are. He's not fighting as intensely as these two. Because one of them's out of rage and one of them's out of self defense. Or just arrogance. I don't know why Crow's fighting. Look at all that rage. Good lord. They can't even communicate that in their fight scenes. But, like, what? Vegeta's fighting robots while this is two people fighting each other. I don't think that's a fair comparison. You should. Goku and Hit is a much better fight than this. If he's talking about, like. What's he talking about? He's talking about being simple. It wasn't a very simple fight, I would say. This is a pretty simple fight. They're just slashing at each other and shooting. The Vegeta thing you showed was very simple, but it's a little less simple than this because Vegeta showed some technique when he shot things behind him. Without using his eyes, he could sense them because that's an ability he has. These two aren't really using their abilities until like the very end, which the fight doesn't really end, it just kind of stops. But yeah, so much attention to detail.
capture by using a different style of animation. If you really look at Vegeta, he's actually moving quite slowly on the screen.
Sure, because we can't see what's going on without going frame by frame. This is the less complex fight scene. Okay, sure, Jan. There's a ton of other fights in Dragon Ball Z that you could probably compare that fight to. if that's what you mean by not being a simple not being a simple fight scene, then there's like the Goku and Frieza fight. There's so much teleporting and random attacking, and there's so much of that schlock in that fight, like that, or heck, Goku versus Cell even. Like you could say that's just as complex if that's what he's going by. He's he's straw manning is what he is. He was That's what he's doing is straw manning.
Agreed. That's because animating his attacks takes so much time, so less movement is better for the animators overall. Now take a look at how fast
Less movement is better for the animators. Less movement is better than the animators. Except that there's hardly any movement in this fight because they're teleporting everywhere. And actually, movement might help enhance this fight because everyone's just standing still. No one's reacting to this fight. No one's trying to run away. No one's trying to call the police or the teachers or anything. It's just, good lord. And I want to go frame by frame because, like, look at the smear frame. Come on. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. No. 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 The Vegeta fight you showed is much better than this. Because you can see what's going on. Just because you can't see what's going on does not mean it's a much more complex fight. That's not what that means.
and Winter are moving. It's the same reason why when one character is talking and the devil is a part-timer, you don't see the other characters moving. That would require more animation. But in
You say that, but the exact same thing is happening in RWBY. There's so many of these bystanders that aren't moving. Like what is that? An instance of the application is already okay. Go away then. Uh, ah. Okay. Fine. Fine. Fine.
RWBY, when Ruby and Crow are talking, you can still see both character models are never still. It's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, but like, there's a bunch of other character models in the same scene that aren't doing anything, especially the thing that should be doing something.
When you're looking specifically for it. I'm not saying that one is better than the other.
I mean, yeah, there were people that walked by, but this guy, pay attention to this guy in this shot. Like, look, he's not doing anything. He's not blinking either. He's just a 2D cutout. Like,
I'm
look,
not saying that one is better than the other, merely that they are different. And in a genre
that's all you use it. But you're still praising RWBY for it, though. You're still praising. Okay, then.
filled with the same animation, this difference can be refreshing. So what we really have in RWBY is
I guess so. Like, I guess it could be refreshing, based on the way they move, but like they move so awkwardly and unnaturally that, like, it's kind of, yeah. You could argue that for anime, but like, this is based on motion capture, and that should, mean it follows human movements very well. But you can tell that the people that were doing the motion capture weren't very comfortable with what they were doing because of the way they were moving. Because it's just awkward.
the spirit of true anime masked in a style that is completely new and unique. And
New and unique. The only thing that you've said is different is the animation. That's the only thing you said is different.
have a feeling we're going to start seeing more and more of this style because it is faster and easier to create.
Uh, how do you know? How do you know if it's faster or easier? How do you know that? All I know is that the results from what I've seen in RWBY are not showing good results, and that means that something needs to change about the way they work. And I realize he's saying a lot about he's showing a lot of volumes 1 through 3, and um with like volume 1 is like the worst one in terms of animation quality. um it's also because they didn't have a budget back then, but like now that they have a budget and they're definitely not a small company now, their, their animation is still garbage. Even in volume 6, it's still not good. They got called out for not using layers properly in like episode 7 or 8, I don't remember, of volume 6. Like they don't know what layers are, which is like one of the most basic things about animation. I don't animate and I know what layers are. Like they they need to change something about the way they make this show, because what they've got so far is a dumpster fire, and that needs to change. Because I would love to see this be a great show that honors Monty Ohm's legacy really well, but so far it's not doing that. Not saying it's dishonoring Monty. Not saying that, but I'm saying it's not nearly as good as it could be.
I'm not saying that the shonen animes that I love are going to become extinct, but I think we
Uh, I don't think anything you said implied that. Hmm. All you've said is that this is a new animation style that might become popular, but like Pixar exists. Pixar is using 3D animation. What are you talking about? Pixar is does not make anime, yeah, but Pixar is making 3D animation, and he's claiming that this is so different, but like it's not that much different. It just isn't.
we may be at the cusp of a new age in anime, a time where small studios can make something miraculous.
It's not a small studio. I'm sorry, but Rooster Teeth is not small. I keep saying that. They're not small anymore.
Just think about what happened in gaming. Games used to only be created by massive companies because the technology needed to create a game required so many.
Okay. I know what point he's about to make. I know what he's about to say. Is that he's talking about indie games and how there's some of them are made by one person. Okay? But the problem is that indie anime already exists. It existed before Rooster Teeth made RWBY. It's all over YouTube. You just haven't found it yet. I'm more than certain that there's an indie anime out there. But because animators don't hardly get any views in on based on the YouTube algorithm, because it takes so long to animate. And so they barely have a consistent schedule that keeps up with their algorithm. Because their algorithm says weekly, or they don't get any of your notifications unless they ring that bell. Like, that's the only way to stay relevant. That's the only way to get new followers too, is if you upload frequently. If you frequently upload videos, but like animation takes so long to do, they hardly get recognized. So like him saying, "Oh, indie anime is going to start rising up now." It's already happened. People are already making their own anime. They've been making their own anime since YouTube came out. Heck, before YouTube, since Newgrounds was around. You can't. That's it's not true. They're not just now rising. They're not just now starting to show up. I mean, they're not showing up at all. But my point is that they exist, and he's claiming that they don't yet. It's it's saddening that it's hard to find those people, but like it's pretty stupid of you to say that nobody's made an indie anime yet besides Rooster Teeth, which isn't even an indie anime because it's made by a large company. It's not a small company. It's not a large company. It's like a medium-sized company. But you know.
People that a small studio just didn't have the budget to do. But as technology improved, small
Didn't have the budget. I gotta ask the animators watching. Budget is usually based on how quickly you want it done, right? Or am I wrong? Because like that depends on like how advanced how good looking you want your show to look, which is what the budget is like looks. But like just you could animate because the first volume of RWBY barely had a budget, and it's is him saying, "Oh, they don't have a budget, so they can't make it on their own," is wrong because Rooster Teeth didn't, because RWBY barely had a budget in Volume One, but they still made it. So, yeah, it's, yeah. Sorry, dude. Sorry. I know you think you sound really good right now, but you don't.
Smaller groups began creating extraordinary games. One-man teams created the masterpieces that are
Okay. Undertale, I don't remember if that's.
Undertale and Minecraft.
But I don't think Minecraft was only made by Notch. I'm not gonna look that up because I don't really care. Because I'll just take his word for it for this bit. But like, I don't think it was. I don't really care. Like, prove me wrong, whatever. But I don't think it was. I thought it was made by like a small team. I don't know about Undertale. I don't know anything about that game. So.
We could be seeing the same thing happen in anime. And
We are already. I mean, I say we're seeing it, but. Dude, you haven't. It's happening. You just haven't seen it yet. Believe me, it's happening. People. The freaking Silver trailers are a good example. People are making their own animes. You're just not seeing it, dude.
if that's true, I'm beyond excited because some of the best games of the past decade have been indie games, and I'm
Yeah, but it's hard to find the difference between games and uh and animation is that doing a let's play hardly takes any work, so it's more likely that frequent uploads happen because of YouTube's algorithm. And uh, animation takes a longer time to upload, so they're not gonna be showing up as much. And um, point bad point. Yeah, let me listen to that again.
I'm beyond excited because some of the best games of
Oh
the
yeah,
past
they're not gonna show. They're not gonna show up because of the way YouTube is. They just it's unfortunate, but it's true. I wish that wasn't the case. But like the way YouTube has their algorithm set up, it doesn't support new creators. And you could say, oh, we'll just go to another website that's different from YouTube, but like you like Twitch isn't really for streaming animation though. It's more for gaming, and YouTube is probably like the only one that gets any traction anymore. Newgrounds has died, and that one actually supported its creators because it was way easier to find indie stuff like freaking Nazo Unleashed, which was a great. That is an indie anime, I would say. It's based on Sonic, but I would say that's yeah. Sorry, dude. It's you just gotta look. You just gotta look. It's hard to look in YouTube, but you just gotta.
decade have been indie games, and I'm willing to bet that some of the best animes we'll see in the future will be indie animes. And
I doubt it because nobody's seeing it yet. It's hard to see it because of the algorithm. I keep saying this. God, this is turning into a YouTube rant, but like it's gonna be really hard to see it, and I think I should say this right now, but RWBY is not an indie. Hang on, let me look up the definition of indie. Indie. Okay, not belonging to or affiliated with with a major record or film company. I would say that um, Rooster Teeth is a major company because it's well known. What defines major company? What because if it's how large they are, then Rooster Teeth is definitely based on their expertise and customer-oriented services. Okay, well that's a corporation, isn't it really? Whatever, but like the it's the thing about Rooster Teeth. It's not a small company, so that argument can't be made. But it's well known, so that argument still can't be made. So like RWBY isn't. They were well known before they made RWBY. It's not an indie anime. I'm sorry, it just isn't.
if I'm right about this, I can't wait to see what independent anime creators come up with.
Go look for them then! Good lord. RWBY will change your favorite anime. What is.
PT Dubs, did you notice how much of a weeb I am? I mentioned 15 different shows that are all available on
Oh, is he about to do. Okay, well.
and that's not even
Yeah, congratulations, you're a weeb. You know 15 anime. Congrats, dude. Wow, that's so many. That's so many animes. It's 15. Wow, I can't believe. Haven't even seen that many animes. I'm just kidding. I've seen like way more animes than that, but like that's that's not a big number, dude. I'm sorry. It isn't. Anyway, I think this is mostly ad. Yeah, this is all ad after this. But okay, so what was this video about? The title is RWBY will change your favorite anime, but most of it was comparing and contrasting it to Japanese anime, which it's mostly the same with the exception of animation. And then he said, "Oh, well, this is when indie anime is going to start rising up." Is that the point of the video? Is that indie anime is going to start showing up? Or is the point of the video that RWBY is an anime? Because he did not say anything about how good the show is and why it would change your favorite. Bad video. I give it a 2 out of 10. And I only give it, well, no, it's a 1 out of 10. I was about to say, because its editing is nice, but no, it's not, because they said, oh, it's tunely shaded, it's a toon shaded anime on a scene that had no shades. No, okay, no, not you're not getting credit for the edits. You're not getting credit for that. This video is garbage. 1 out of 10. Uh, so yeah. The change the title of your video. It's so misleading. The point of the video is it's hard to understand what the point of it even was. There's no point to it. It's just here's RWBY, here's how it's different, here's why it's not different. Indie anime. Uh, yeah, no. Nuh-uh. Sorry, dude. You don't get any good points from me. In fact, I'm gonna give it a solid dislike. So that is my I guess response video slash review of RWBY Will Change Your Favorite Anime by Treesicle. Hope you all enjoyed my video. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you didn't, or I hope you enjoyed uh, the video that I responded to. Because I mean, if you did, then good for you. If you didn't, then I guess you're on my side, unless you hate my content. Um, but yeah, I said this at the beginning of the video. I'll say it again. Pokemon Gaia might be over, so if y'all are huge fans of that, I'm sorry, as there's just nothing I can do. Unless the computer repair people can save everything on the hard drive, but it's looking like they might not be able to, which is really upsetting because I wanted to do a whole thing at the end. Um, but yeah, it don't look like it's gonna have an ending. So yeah, I'm sorry about Pokemon Gaia. But anyway, I'm probably gonna do more content like this. So if y'all have any good slash bad videos that you want me to do this to, preferably bads, because I usually have more to talk about with bad videos. But if you have any suggestions on what I should respond to or slash review, I don't know what this is called, then leave a comment and tell me what you want to see me do next. But if you don't, then I guess I will see you all in the next video where I'll cover